Islam is a false religion because Islamic cosmology and paradise breaks the laws of physics. This is a claim that was made by ex-Muslim YouTuber Apostate Aladdin. However, is this claim true? In this video, I investigated this claim and what I found could destroy Aladdin's entire career as an Islamophobe. So, does Islamic cosmology and paradise violate laws of physics? Or is it just a misunderstanding? If you want to know, then please watch this video until the very end. So, let's get started.
Ask Allah the Firdaus, the highest level of Jannah, because it's the highest level and it's in the middle of the Jannah. So it has two advantages. It's not in the lower level, it's in the highest level. And of the highest level, it's in the middle exactly.
Let's try to visualize this in 3D space. So
let's try and unpack that for a second.
So you got level 1 on the ZX axis.
Let's try and de-emotionalize this for a second.
Then level 2 higher on the Y axis.
Let's try and intellectualize this for a second.
And level 3 above that, and so on and so forth, till you reach the highest level where the VIP section, Al-Firdaus, is in the middle. And that's advantageous for some reason.
Let's try and rationalize this for a second.
Here again, like he draws like this kind of 3D diagram of a completely metaphysical and spiritual existence. Are you stupid? Like, why would you do that? Like, how does that even make sense? I mean, the Sheikh is talking about something that's completely metaphysical. He's not talking about some in the realms of chemistry and physics. He's talking about something that's beyond that. I mean, just think about it. Like, there are things that are so alien that scientists don't know how to describe them. That's how strange physics is. And this, in the Quran, what is being described is even more stranger than that. Right? These are nothing like anything we have ever experienced. And then you're like making 3D diagrams of it. Like, how does that even make sense?
You stupid!
These are not things from the physical realm. So you can't put them on a physical pedestal.
Here's what I find odd about this model. Unless each level has finite dimensions, I don't see how there can be a middle to anything without it being relative to something else.
Now, regarding whether or not the heavens are infinite or not, they're not infinite. Because the heavens are described as having layers, right? Obviously, something that's infinite cannot have layers. So obviously, these are probably finite, but they're massive. 15th century Islamic scholar Al-Biyaki, in his book Natham al-Durar al-Tansib, he says the following: the heavens are described as a congruent layer, one layer above the other, indication that they are symmetrical. This is only possible if Earth is spherical and the first heaven surrounds the Earth the way the eggshell surrounds the egg from all sides. And then the kursi surrounds everything. So basically, the idea here is that these things are made in layers. So yeah, there's no indication that these are infinite things. So there's no problem with being in the middle.
How big is heaven anyway? Let's do some quick math. This verse says that it's as wide as the skies and the earth. Not only is it finite, but the author clearly thought that the earth was huge and flat. As we all know, thanks to scientific advancements, the observable universe is massive. Compared to that, the size of the round Earth is negligible, so why mention it at all? It's like if I said this man has more money than the GDP of the United States and my salary. What's the point of mentioning my salary if it's as big as a rounding error?
First of all, nowhere does it say that the heavens are as big as Earth. So here he's committing the strawman argument fallacy. So basically, the way these chapters described by Imam al-Qurtubi is the following. The scholars differ concerning the interpretation of that. Ibn Abbas said, it is as if the heavens and the earth are put together and joined together, like garments spread out, attached to one another. That is the width of paradise. No one knows its length except Allah. This is the view of the majority, and it is nothing strange.
So the point is the heavens and earth are being described as one entity, so the size of heaven and earth put together is the size of one garden in Jannah. That's how big it is. However, the Quran is not saying the earth is as big as the heavens. One thing to keep in mind, the Quran is talking to the people of earth. These people have no idea how big the heavens or the universe is. Their measuring stick is the earth, which is why the Quran mentions earth. It's like me explaining to a child how deep the ocean is, and I say, it's as deep as the height of this building and 100 other like it. Does that mean I'm saying one building is as tall as 100 others? No. So it's a complete strawman of what the Quran is saying.
Another explanation is that this was a common metaphor that was used by Arabs at the time. So the Quran is basically quoting a metaphor that was used by Arabs, which basically meant something that's very big, but it doesn't mean like the heavens are as big as earth. Also, another thing he misunderstands here is that when the Quran or Islamic literature describes earth, it's not talking about some kind of material physical earth. Earth in Islamic literature has different dimensions, right? For example, if you read a lot of the Hadith, they describe how if you go to your grave, the grave will be a lot bigger than how it is actually appears in a material physical sense, right? Like for example, there's a Hadith in Muslim Ahmed where a believer is sent to a grave and he says that look how spacious it has become, meaning graves will be a lot bigger for those souls that will reside in there. So the point is that earth from a spiritual sense or a metaphysical sense is much bigger than like earth on a physical sense. So yeah, again, he's just coming to strawman argument fast. He doesn't understand what the Quran is even talking about, and he just misrepresents it.
Clearly, the author of the Quran thought the sky and the earth were parallel and similar in size. So heaven is as wide as the earth, roughly 8,000 miles. You're not going to find that answer on Islam QA. And since this verse says that Muslims sit on raised couches watching people in hell burning, we can assume that there's a finite limit to heaven at least on one side where it meets hell. So if Firdaus is in the middle of heaven, it's the same distance from hell as it is from the other edge of heaven, around 4,000 miles away. So is that the selling point? Being 4,000 miles away from hell?
Yeah, I won't even dignify this stupid portion with a response. I'll let brother MENJ respond to him now.
I personally think that this person, Apostate Aladdin, should find a new job. Because when I listened to his nonsense, all I could think of was, where the hell is he getting his facts and figures from? I mean, how does, for example, he mentions that the distance between heaven and hell is X amount of meters. He tries to wow his audience with all these ridiculous facts and figures, and yet he doesn't even cite a single source from where he's getting all this measurement. Frankly, the Quran actually mentions that Jannah, place where no man has seen, no man has heard. No man could ever witness or understand or comprehend its beauty when it comes to Jannah, or its horrors when it comes to An-Nar or Jahannam or Hellfire. I have never come across any Muslim scholar or any Muslim in general who actually conceptualize Jannah the way he does. In fact, I would say that if you ask 10 people, 10 Muslims, what Jannah to them would be like, I would say that they will have 10 different descriptions of what Jannah will be like. Of course, it will be based on what the Quran says. You don't have any measurements of Jannah. We don't have any data with regards to Jannah. Who do you think you are telling us Muslims how you think Jannah would be like?
Here's another flaw. There are hadiths about how a particular action or dua gets you a house in Jannah, or a tree is planted for you in Jannah. So the question becomes, what's the point of that if you can wish for those things in Jannah anyway?
I feel like he doesn't have brain cells. With his like 2 IQ, he can figure out the fact that when someone gives you something, it's not the same as you simply asking for something, right? Like for example, imagine you come home and you see that your mother has cooked something really delicious for you. And then imagine another scenario where you're hungry and you ask your mother to cook something for you. Are those two things the same? No, of course not. Obviously, when your mother makes something for you by herself is much more valuable than when you ask her to make something for yourself. These two things are not the same. When someone makes something for you by their own accord, it's much more valuable than if you simply ask them to do it. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you gifts or these things and rewards you with these beautiful things, they are much more valuable than if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give them to you. So that's the difference. That's why these things are there, because they are more valuable. And also, the idea behind this hadith is that you go to paradise in the first place, right? If you do good things, then you will get a tree planted for you. And then you will get a house in Jannah, right? They will not just be given to you for free. So again, like, he misunderstands the whole thing.
Levels exist to introduce a bit of nuance to a simplistic judgment system, and to cater to the competitive and jealous nature of humans, and to incentivize more and more sacrifice without it ever being enough. Let me give you an example. Ali prays every fard prayer on time, and he doesn't miss the sunnah prayers either. He fasts more than just Ramadan, and he memorizes the whole Quran word for word. He even signs up to fight with Muhammad's army. Ahmad, on the other hand, he prays, but he misses some prayers every now and then. He fasts Ramadan only and hasn't tried to memorize the Quran beyond what he needs to pray. And he finds excuses not to go to war when Muhammad calls for his troops. If they are promised the same heaven, why should Ali bother? Why shouldn't every Muslim just phone it in and feel safe enough to die as a believer? I suspect that is why Muslims are told to never feel like they've done enough.
Again, like, his hypothesis completely fails the PSR, principle of sufficient reasoning. First of all, if you understand or read the life of Prophet ﷺ, he had no reason to invent some new religion. He was comfortable. Like he was born in a rich family. Like he had no reason to go against his family and risk everything, because by preaching his religion, he lost everything. He lost money, fortune, fame, everything. So then why would he invent a religion, and then why would he invent all this kind of different concept of paradise even? It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation there. So he has to give us an explanation for it, but he didn't. So there's no sufficient or necessary explanation there. That's why it fails. His hypothesis fails, because it fails PSR, the principle of sufficient reasoning. If you like the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. If you want to support me, you can support me by becoming a patron or YouTube member. Inshallah, see you in the next episode. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.